Timothy John McConnell, among the unlikeliest of NBA players. Got his break with the 76ers, now 8 years in the league. His final game with the Sixers, the infamous Kawhi Leonard four-bouncer in the 2019 playoffs. What if that shot had not gone in?
So I'm biased. I think if that shot does not go in, we win the game. And then if things played out the same that they did, I think we win an NBA championship.
Now an Indiana Pacer, T.J. McConnell relives the process, growing up the son of a demanding coach, and more, next on Fresh 24.
Sixers lock all windows and doors. For the record! Yeah! Redick, can he get it off? And the putback turning garbage into goal.
Timothy John McConnell, you're 31, bro. 8 years in the NBA. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that this would become a reality?
Let's just say I've played 8 years longer than I ever thought I would in the NBA, and still going and still have a lot left to give, but didn't think I would be at this point, but worked my butt off and not satisfied.
Why didn't you think you would get to this point?
Let's start with the obvious. 6 foot, not incredibly fast. Guy from Pittsburgh. There are many guys that look like me. I just don't look like a prototypical NBA player. I'd like to. People say I look like an accountant. Most of the fans they tell me I look like an accountant when I step out there. So it's funny, but just one of those things where not a lot of people where I'm from make it to the NBA, but honored and blessed.
So what's the secret to your success?
Well, you got to have a little bit of luck. What the Sixers were doing when I was coming into the NBA. It was just right place, right time. And, everyone has an opportunity. You just have to take advantage of it. And I kind of took my opportunity and ran with it.
So your opportunity comes in 2015. You're an undrafted free agent, which actually, and you and I have discussed this, worked to your advantage because instead of being, let's say, a second-round pick and being assigned to a team, now you have your choice. The Sixers are in a massive rebuild. And you're competing with Kendall Marshall, Isaiah Cannon, Tony Wroten, Pierre Jackson, and Scotty Wilbeacon, and you make a 10-win team.
Yeah, to be honest, all the reasons you obviously mentioned, but just really hit it off with Brett and Sam when I worked out for the Sixers. And, he kind of talked about the way they wanted to play. And I just thought it was an amazing fit. But also, like I said, the ability to, see myself trying to make that roster, I thought I had a good shot.
But there's got to be a lot of ambivalence, TJ. On one hand, you're pinching yourself. I'm in the NBA, but on the other hand, you're massive losing streaks, a total of 10 wins. How did you deal with the agony of losing, but the unexpected pleasure of being an NBA player?
Yeah, losing, it obviously stinks. And especially when you lose in the city of Philadelphia, it's not fun. It was one of those things where I said to myself, it's crazy that I'm even here. So not a lot of guys in my position get the opportunity to play in the NBA, let alone play massive minutes in the NBA. So I said to myself, just be a sponge. Soak up all the information you can get from your teammates, your coaches, and just kind of take advantage of this.
We hear the term imposter syndrome, and I don't mean to be negative about it, but do you think that you have that sometimes where that could be even a motivating factor? You know what? I'm not sure I belong here. I really got to come out and bust my hump.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning of my career, for sure, it's more a chip on my shoulder than anything. I'd say maybe in the beginning I was like, I can't believe I'm here, and had a little bit of that. But I think at the point that I'm at now, it's just a chip on my shoulder to play harder than everybody.
You signed what I believe was a multi-year contract, but it was non-guaranteed. So every year you literally had to go in and do what we would call a job interview. And the famous visual of you is going into interview with a coat and a tie. That is not something that you would expect a player to do. Do you remember all that and why you did that?
Yeah. I mean, I thought to myself, it was an exit interview, and I hear the word interview, and I wouldn't show up in sweatpants. So I just tried to wear my best and impress the coach and the higher ups, and hopefully it worked.
So in your career as a Sixer, you had some really good games against the Knicks, and one in particular I want to refer to. First of all, you were the first in franchise history in one game to record a triple-double off the bench. And then you had the game winner January 11th, 2017 against those hated Knicks. Let's watch it.
Derrick Rose cut off, gives it up. They swing to Porzingis in the game for three, airballs it. Loose ball taken by Henderson. Sixers don't call the timeout. Here's Ilyasova. Here's McConnell. Can he get it off? Yes! And the Sixers win it!
Okay, so seconds are ticking down, and I thought wisely there. Brett Brown decided not to call a timeout. I know Larry Brown was also famous for that as well, because you should know what to do, I guess, in those situations, and you don't want to give the other team a chance to set up their defense. What were you guys thinking? What were you thinking in particular during that last possession?
Just score it in any way possible. I think Gerald was pushing the ball up the floor and passed it to Ersan, and Ersan threw it to me. And if you watch the clip closely, he's actually open. I had a chance to throw it back to him, but the game was moving so fast and the seconds were ticking so quickly. I just kind of did the spin move and shot it in my patented mid-range area. So it was an amazing feeling and an amazing game.
And there's that famous shot of you that we got from, I guess it was the other end of the court, a low angle of you like going off towards the crowd and flying. I mean, I think you should take that and put it on a T-shirt.
Oh, 100%. For some reason, I thought that when I jumped up like that, I was just going to keep floating up into the crowd, and everyone was going to just give me a big hug and something like that. It was just, I started running. I didn't know what to do, and then just jumped up in the air.
And then there's that visual. It looks like you and Joel are so happy. In your own glee, you kind of want to choke each other.
No, it was funny. My favorite thing about that is someone said hitting a game winner for Philadelphia looks terrifying when Joel had me in a chokehold. It was really funny.
Another game to me that sticks out, first year the Sixers make the playoffs in eons, and they're about to be swept by the Boston Celtics, and Brett Brown names you as a starter, and you turned out to be the difference. What do you remember most about that one?
Just that we didn't want to go out that way. We had blown a big lead in Game 2 in Boston. I think we were up at least 20 points, with like 4 or 5 minutes left going into halftime, and we end up only up 2. And then we come here, and the whole confetti situation happens, and I think we let one slip there, and I think we just said to ourselves, we're not going out this way. We're going out with a fight.
What did you try to do knowing in that game 4 that you're being asked to start? What is your mindset going into a game like that?
Yeah, I don't think my mindset necessarily changed. I knew I'd be playing bigger minutes, but just to be myself, get guys the ball and play incredibly hard like I always do, and just have no fear out there. It's win or go home for us. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where it was an opportunity, and like I said, you just got to take advantage of it and run with it.
You and Nick Stauskas crossed paths for several seasons. He was a groomsman at your wedding. How's Nick doing? What's he up to?
He's the best. Living in Philadelphia with his amazing wife, who me and my wife are very close to, and he has a baby girl. So
nice.
An amazing, cute kid, and going to be seeing him in a week here. So very excited, but Nick hasn't changed a bit. Still the nicest guy you will ever meet.
Is he playing?
No, he's done. Yeah,
he is.
I think he's getting into your side of things in the media side and calling some hoop games and going that route, and he's incredibly good at it.
Nice. Well, tell him to get in touch. Maybe I can give him a tip or two.
I absolutely will.
Listen, before leaving the Sixers, you and Ben Simmons were teammates as well. What's your take on Ben?
Personally, I just don't think he's healthy. I was able to watch him when he was in Brooklyn, and he wasn't moving the same. And then you see the reports that he's not cleared to play 5-on-5, so he was playing through something, which I wholeheartedly respect. Ben is one of the toughest competitors I've ever played with, and to see him go through that, and just the age of social media, it's not really fair. People can cast judgment about him and say some pretty nasty stuff, but he's a great person, a great teammate, and when I was in Philly, he never missed games for any particular reason. So, the fact that he's playing through it, I have nothing but respect for him.
Yeah, and I hope you could appreciate what a lot of fans feel, that you said he's one of the most competitive guys you ever played with. And I would say the majority of Sixers fans, after the way he left, do not feel that way. What is it that you could say about Ben and what you saw of him, whether it was practice habits or whatever, that could change the minds of Sixers fans about Ben Simmons?
Well, to the fans, it's obviously going to look that way, but I saw up close and personal the guy's work ethic and what he did on a daily basis. I think people forget the level he was at before his back injury. Can guard 1 through 5 and finds people the ball, doesn't need to shoot, and still is incredibly effective. I think people unfairly say stuff about him shooting, and it's just one of those things where he's a pass first point guard. But from what I saw with him in Philly, his work ethic, all I can say is that dude works incredibly hard and is always in the gym.
Joel Embiid, you still in touch?
I am. I actually just texted him when he won MVP. It's one of those full circle things where you kind of saw where he was at. Well, I saw where he was at when I came into the Sixers my rookie year, and he wasn't playing, and I saw him shooting all the time, and just staying patient. From that point to where he's at now, it's been absolutely remarkable to see. He's the most dominant player in the NBA, and obviously very deserving of that MVP award.
We know how competitive you are and how he can be, and apparently that spilled over one night while you and I guess your wife Valerie were at his home playing, of all things, Monopoly. And things quickly disintegrated a bit. Tell me how that night went and how it ended.
I was really proud of my wife that night. We were playing a board game of some sort, and Joel's as competitive as they get. I mean, and I didn't even know what game we were playing. It might have not been Monopoly, but I was losing bad, so there's no reason to be competitive. And my wife was like standing up, yelling in a joking way, and Joel kind of got up too, and I'm like, I mean, what's going to happen here? It was all in good fun, but I was happy to see that competitive spirit in my wife, though.
So your last game, May 12th, 2019, a date that will live in infamy for Sixers fans. Game 7 in Toronto, Kawhi Leonard, the 4-bouncer, which sends them on, and of course, eventually an NBA title. What if that shot doesn't go in? Do the Sixers win the game in overtime? Because I had a friend who was at the game. He was covering it. He swears that the Raptors were gassed. They weren't going to last another 5 minutes, A. And B, if the Sixers win the game, does that team stay together?
So I'm biased. I think if that shot does not go in, we win the game. And then if things played out the same that they did, I think we win an NBA championship. That's my opinion. And I think that team obviously stays together, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way.
Could that team have stayed together? I mean, just given the fact that, for example, both Ben and Jimmy Butler needed the ball, could they have coexisted? Could that have worked out?
I for sure think that could have worked out. I mean, it was showing how effective it was. When we would bring Jimmy in and have him bringing the ball up the floor, and Ben would move to the 4. It was effective, and I think it definitely could have worked out for sure.
So you had to go and sign as a free agent. And listen, this is the end of the 2019 season. You go on, obviously, with the Indiana Pacers. And listen, you broke the hearts of a lot of Sixers fans, but I'm going to say it for you. You have to do what you have to do. It's a business. Players say it all the time. And if there was money there for you to take, you had to take it. Was it just the money? Was it mostly the money? How did that work in your mind?
It was just a contract that I couldn't pass up. And I'm obviously very thankful for my time in Philly, and it was a tough decision to make. It was just one of those things where I had been playing on a non-guaranteed deal for 4 years, and just, it's going to sound like I'm saying it for the money, but the security of a guaranteed contract for 2 years, it obviously sounded very nice, and just really had to take it.
One thing I did want to bring up before I do the halftime segment here with you is March 2021, NBA record steals and a half, 9. You have a triple-double. You set a Pacers franchise record with 10 steals in the game. What's it like when, for a shooter, it's like they say that it's like throwing it in the ocean. What's it like as a defender? And it's like, wow, you're just like seeing everything. Give me the feeling as you're playing in a game like that.
I feel like defensively in that game, the game just slowed down. I was in the right place at the right time, and I got to credit my teammates. There's 4 other guys out there that were trying to make plays, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But in that type of situation, everything just kind of slows down for you.
All right, we're going to delve into growing up in suburban Pittsburgh and what it was like to play and be the son of a coaching father. But first, it's our halftime segment. So I'm going to give you a choice between 2 things, TJ, and you blurt out the answer. Do not overthink, just blurt. Are you ready?
Yes.
Check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation. PHL Sports Nation. Enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience.
Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Blue or red?
Blue.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Rock or rap?
Rap.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Plain or peanuts?
Peanuts.
New school or old school?
Old school.
Maximum or minimum?
Maximum.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you a handful of artists that I have in my own personal music library. You tell me if you also have them in your library. Are you all set?
I am.
The Black Keys.
I do not.
Willie Nelson.
Do not.
John Mayer.
I do.
Jimmy Eat World.
I do not.
John Coltrane.
I do not.
Who do you listen to? Who do you like?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't listen to that much music. You know, I do listen to a lot of John Mayer. I love Chris Stapleton, Darius Rucker.
So are you predominantly a country guy? What little you listen to?
I like country. There's some rap that I'll listen to, like Post Malone, and but honestly, I'm not much of a music guy, to be honest. So I apologize.
I don't apologize. It's your own personal taste, and it's all good. And by the way, I do have some Post Malone on my my Apple Music as well. So back to you, because this is all about you. According to a published article, when you were first offered a scholarship at Duquesne, and I guess the assistant may have offered you the scholarship, the head coach there, Ron Everhart, was asked, when did you start recruiting water boys? Do you remember reading this at all? And if so, I would imagine now you just probably look back and laugh at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember stuff like that for sure. And I think it's one of those things where I said earlier on where guys that look like me don't usually make it to where I'm at. When he offered me a scholarship, I was going into my sophomore year of high school, and I was 5'6", 100. Really? I was 130 pounds. So there was some truth to that, looking like a water boy. And, but that just made me work harder. And, looking back at it, I get a good chuckle out of it though.
Growing up in suburban Pittsburgh, it almost seems like you didn't have a choice. Your dad's a head basketball coach. You had relatives, aunts who played. What did basketball mean to you, say, as a 10 or 11-year-old?
It was my life. From the moment I could walk and pick up a basketball, that's what I was doing. I was in the gym with my dad, who was coaching my then high school team. And I was just always in the gym and in there with him.
What makes basketball, because I'm sure you played other sports, what makes basketball the best sport, in your opinion?
I don't know, because I mean, there's other team sports, but I just have love for it. It's something that was ingrained in me as a little kid, and something that I grew up around. I just love everything about it. There's not really one thing that sticks out.
Make it a good pass, maybe, or make it a good defensive play. I imagine that kind of stuff turns you on, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that's awesome. But besides hitting a perfect golf shot, when you shoot a shot and you know it's going in, there's no better feeling than that.
Although golf is crazy. In fact, I was playing yesterday, and I said to the folks in my group, it's a crazy game because it demands perfection, and we're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. And so, are you a good golfer?
I am a horrendous golfer.
Like, can you break 100?
On the front nine. Yeah, you won't want to go with me. I promise. I'm not good, but when my career's over, I'm going to probably take some lessons.
Yeah, you'll be an 80s golfer before you know it. I want to get back to your dad for a second, because fathers coaching their sons is always tricky. And you once told me there were some tense times around the McConnell dinner table. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys see how high strung I am and how hard on myself that I am. That was from him. He demanded perfection from me. And like you said, no one's perfect, but it pushed me to be and to get to where I'm at now. And I wouldn't change any of it. There were times that he was so hard on me that we wouldn't speak. And I mean, that's just how stubborn both of us are. And, it was awkward dinners. My mom would sit there and kind of mediate it. bless her heart. But like I said, it was tough in the moment, the way he coached me, but I'm so thankful he did that.
Now, you have a son, Trace. He's about 3 years old. I know you're going to want to introduce him to the game if you haven't already. How do you handle that vis-a-vis the way you were raised?
Well, I mean, he's going to be growing up in gyms too, coming to my games. And, when I work out, he's going to be there. I don't want to force basketball onto him. If he wants to play, that's awesome. But if he wants to do something else, I'm not going to, be that dad that, forces him to do something he doesn't want to. I want him to do what makes him happy. And if he plays, I'm going to push him to be great, just like my dad did. Maybe not as demanding as my dad was, but I'm gonna take some stuff that my dad did as well, because I wouldn't be where I'm at without him.
Yeah, and it's funny because on the one hand, I think you'll admit that you wouldn't be where you are today without your dad, but his methodology was difficult. What's the fine line between coaching your kid hard, but not to the point where you're sitting there silently at the dinner table?
Yeah, I mean, I see where he was coming from, now that I'm 31 years old, looking back at it. He had to prove a point to my teammates that he was going to coach me harder than everyone. And he did. And I respect it. Like I said, it was difficult in the moment. But he pushed me to a point where I demanded perfection in myself. And it was kind of one of those things where it was a short-term loss, when we weren't speaking and stuff like that. For look where I'm at today, it's considered a long-term W. So, yeah, I mean, it was tough, but I think there was some method to his madness.
You ever get nervous before games?
I am nervous before every game.
So fans might say, how can that be? You've played hundreds of NBA games. You've played thousands of games in your life. You're going to get paid if you have a bad game or not. Like, where's the pressure coming from? Why is it that you're nervous?
Just the pressure to help your team win. And obviously we do get paid, but it's our job still at the end of the day. But I don't look at it as a job. It's just... It's not a nervous feeling, but it's the butterflies, the anxiousness to want to go out there and play well and help your team win, and compete. That's just the best way I can explain it.
So I'll explain it the way I often explain nerves, because I would get nervous before broadcasts, and I often equated it to, if you're watching the Kentucky Derby and those horses, they're trained, they know what's coming, their adrenaline is going, but they have to go into those starter boxes, we'll call them. I don't know what it is officially, but here they are, they're ready to go, but they have no place to go because they're penned in. It's probably this, might be the same thing. You could agree or disagree. You're in the locker room, you're ready to go, the routine, but still another hour before tip off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to put it. And not every game is going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to be defended differently. Your minutes are going to be different. Your stints might be shorter. So you have to take advantage of being out there for a shorter amount of time. And it's one of those things where it's just, like you said, you're waiting in the locker room. It's the anticipation, the crowd, just everything.
Are you vocal in the huddle? I mean, will you take guys aside at this point of your career and maybe point some stuff out, or maybe even suggest some stuff to the coach? I don't know. Are you that kind of guy now?
I would say early on, not as much, but yeah, I am. I don't try to overdo it and be Mr. Rah-Rah, but if I see something that, can help out a young guy or a teammate, I try to pull them aside and help them. And I think if our team needs a little dose of reality in a timeout when we're not playing as hard, I will be that guy.
And you feel confident you're going to get the respect from guys. There's not going to be the kind of situation where, you've seen guys blow up at each other in huddles, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And when I do it, I don't go at a particular player. I just go at our team and tell them how much, harder we need to play, that this league isn't easy. And, I hope for how hard I play, I have the respect of our group.
Speaking of respect, I know when you're growing up, you're watching the late great Kobe Bryant, and there's a story about what it was like for you and how surreal it was when you were on the court with him for the first time. What do you recall from that?
A once in a lifetime moment, to be honest. One of the greatest players to ever grace a basketball court, and I somehow got matched up to take a jump ball with him. And as a rookie, I mean, like I said, just didn't think I was supposed to be where I'm at. And you're about to take a jump ball against, like I said, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And it was such a intense, surreal moment. And I won that jump ball, by the way. I'm not going to say that I touched any part of the ball, but we ended up with it. So I'm 1-0 in jump balls against one of the greats.
Wow. And of course, I'd expect you to remember winning the jump ball. And of course, I would expect you to sort of explain it away like, well, I didn't really win it, but our team did get possession. That's a funny story.
Like, let me just be clear.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think when I jumped, I might have been at his chest area. He had a whole foot over me, and I didn't even come close to touching the basketball on the jump ball, but hey, a win's a win, and I'll take it.
So when you and Val, I don't know, kind of sit on the beach and say, hey, this isn't going to last forever. At some point, I'm going to have to do something else. What is that something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are going to cross that bridge when it gets there. As you know, you traveled with us a lot. We're away from our family quite a bit. And my wife is due with our second child here on September 20th. So our family is growing, and, I want to be there when my kids grow up. I don't want to miss a lot of what I miss now. And so I'm going to take that into account to, post-career and talk with her and see what's best for our family.
So it's not a lock that you would necessarily coach somewhere or be in a front office, that kind of thing, because that can be equally time-consuming. Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm going to work in basketball in some capacity. The game has been so good to me, and I love the game of basketball. I foresee myself doing something in basketball. I'm just not sure what yet. But like I said, kind of cross that bridge when I get there.
What if Brett Brown and Sam Hinkie said, you know what, TJ, yeah, I don't think you're ready. And, your path took a different turn. What do you think you'd be doing?
If I didn't make the NBA, I probably would have went overseas and tried to play as long as I could have. And I probably think I'd be coaching right now, to be honest.
Do you think when you do retire, you're going to sort of look around and you're going to be looking at your stats or yourself in Basketball Reference and say, did I do that? What did I actually do? I mean, do you foresee like a surreal moment?
I think when it's all said and done and, I hang them up, it's going to be one of those things where, because I don't think about it now, it's going to be one of those things where I sit back and reflect and look at my wife and have a glass of wine and be like, what did I just do?
And by the way, go ahead.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, it's a roller coaster of a ride. And I don't want to sit back and think about it right now. I want to look back at it when I'm done playing.
Let me put a bow on this. We've been talking about Valerie, your wife. You guys are high school sweethearts. When did you first meet?
I actually met her and she has a twin sister named Victoria. I grew up down the street from them. So kindergarten. And
wow.
Funny story. Just growing up and around them, I said to their mom, I'm going to marry one of them. I don't care who it is.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was in like 6th grade.
Wow.
And I was just like, I don't care who it is. I just want to date and marry one of them. And Valerie's the one that came calling.
Boy, once upon a time in suburban Pittsburgh, there was a young boy. Never mind. It's coming true, and it's a beautiful thing. TJ McConnell, appreciate you, brother. It's been a while. Glad to reunite. Thank you so much. All the best going forward.
You're the best, and I want to congratulate you on an amazing career as well. I've been wanting to tell you that for a while.
I think you did in a text, but thank you anyway.
Yeah, it's a little better face-to-face.
No doubt. Take care.
Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Fresh 24. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts.